I didn't want to make this video. I really didn't. After the Resident Evil video, I said to myself, no more. No more holiday-themed videos. Basing a video around an event is just a way to set a quick deadline, and I am terrible at meeting deadlines. So I was not going to make a Christmas-themed video. It simply wasn't happening. I had no plans. But then I found out this exists, and I just had to talk about it. It was like it was calling out to me. How does this exist? Why does this exist? Why have I never heard of it? I needed answers. So here I am, going against my word. Merry fucking Christmas. So, Elf is a pretty big deal. One of the greatest Christmas movies ever made. Maybe even one of the greatest movies ever made. It's so deep and meaningful. It's like if Breaking Bad, Citizen Kane, and Space Jam got together and had a three-way. This would be the child. The wonderful, three-parented orgy child. Elf is a masterpiece. So, by that logic, Elf the game should be a masterpiece too. Okay, well that's not actually what it's called. This here is Elf the movie. Not Elf the game, Elf the movie. But it's a game, so calling it Elf the movie is kinda weird since Elf is a movie, but Elf the movie is a game. At this point, why not retitle the movie to Elf the game? Whatever, it's not important. I know barely anything about this game other than the fact it's real. I don't even know what genre it is. My assumption is that it'll be a big, interactive drama like a Quantic Dream game. That makes the most sense for an adaptation of Elf. So let's start a new game and see what's up. Upon beginnal, the first thing you get to see is a still image from the movie, with no context. Like no explanation of the plot, no introduction of any kind, just this image. What am I supposed to take away from this? This just looks like one of those how to talk to short people memes. The next thing presented to the player is a very brief explanation of how to play the game. And yeah, it's a platformer. Of course it is. You know, I'm not shocked, I'm just disappointed. Well, is it at least a good platformer? It's really simple. Like, really simple. This is probably the simplest platformer I have ever played. The level design, if you could even call it that, is very basic. Flat, even. You run forward, you pick up candy, you jump over very short gaps, and then every once in a while you jump over a slow-moving polar bear. The controls are decent. There's no momentum building or anything. It's the type of platformer where you can jump and have complete control of where you're falling. So it's pretty easy. I did die to the polar bears a few times, but only because I didn't have the timing for my jumps down yet. Yet you have to jump all the way over the enemies. No Mario stomping, because Chris Pratt wasn't invented yet in 2003. I really like the animation that plays when you die. But he just kinda flops forward. Looks goofy as hell. That's a great way to describe a lot of the visuals in this game. Buddy's walk animation is also pretty funny looking. And Buddy himself, too. I think they were going for the whole Donkey Kong Country thing, where you make a pre-rendered 3D model and then make a sprite sheet out of pictures of the model. But the original model must have been very simple because Buddy looks like a damn Runescape character. The second level is more of the same, but this time you're in a cave! Super Mario Bros. Was heavily inspired by this game. The level design is no better here. It's basically just a line with a couple gaps you gotta jump over. The gaps have stalactites hanging over them that you have to avoid, which just means stopping and waiting for them to fall. There's also no enemies here. It's pretty easy. This level is a cakewalk. Level 3, on the other hand, is not as easy. I had trouble with this one. It's still not good, but it was harder. This level introduces water as an obstacle. Water that has gumdrops in it to bounce off of. They're not like that hard to jump across on their own. The main problem is that items are usually floating above them, way above them, so you'll have to hold the jump button to jump higher and reach them, but when you do that, the screen scrolls up with you and then you have to just guess where to land. And the gumdrops are pretty small too, so even if you can see where to jump, it's still pretty easy to just miss completely. Oh, and you can't just skip over all those collectible items in the air. This level makes you do the Donkey Kong thing and collect letters to spell out a word, the word being New York. If you miss any letters, then even if you reach the end of the stage, it tells you to go back and do it all again because you don't have all the letters. This level isn't great. I don't have high hopes for the rest of the game. Before the 4th level, we get yet another still image from the movie. This time, a picture of Buddy talking to Santa? What relevance does this have? I assumed these first 3 levels were based on the part where Buddy walks to New York, right? So then, why is he back in the North Pole? What is happening? This plot doesn't make sense. Level 4 is isometric for some reason. That's also kind of fun. It's still very, very basic. No thought at all was put into this level design. And landing on platforms can still be a tad clunky, but I weirdly enjoyed this level despite how often I died in it. The level goes on for longer than usual, about twice as long as the previous levels. Which isn't much though. It's like upgrading a banana without its peel to 2 bananas without their peels. The second half of the level is less fun. They bring out these moving platforms that take forever to get back to where you are, so if you miss it you have to wait around for ages until it gets back. But there's a polar bear patrolling the edge of the iceberg, so you just have to walk around back and forth while you wait for the moving one. And then on your way to the next platform, there's all these candies and lives off to the side taunting you. They want you to jump away, but I know better. These are traps for the weak-minded. Next up is a snowboarding level. And just like everything else, it's super simple. There is no challenge whatsoever. I only hit stuff a few times, and each time I did it just took away a hit point and respawned me at the exact same spot, so like what's the point? This level is also pretty long. This mountain must be tall as fuck. And yes, this is in fact a mountain. It says so in the level instructions. But when you start getting near the end, there's lampposts on a mountain? What? And then you reach the bottom and there's a huge sign for New York. Oh, that explains it. This takes place on the famous New York City mountain. It's also clear now. Level 6 takes us back to standard platforming. It's just as boring as before. This time instead of polar bears, it's raccoons and mallards, for some reason. The raccoons I get. The raccoon attack scene is iconic, it's important to the lore, you gotta make reference to that. But what's the deal with the mallards? I don't remember there being a scene with mallards. Was there a scene with mallards? Am I forgetting something? Was this like a scene they cut out of the movie? Also, where's New York City? Is that it? Those rectangles? Looks like an MS Paint drawing. Okay, now I'm in the city for real. I'm on the streets. And this is just straight up unrealistic. New York City is not this brightly colored. My new objective is to pick up 20 Christmas decorations, or more specifically, 20 very large colored light bulbs. There's 2 sidewalks with a street in between that has cars running on it. So I have to run across the sidewalk so I can get each and every decoration. Getting hit by cars deals a fuck ton of damage, and if you die you have to restart the level all the way from the beginning. There's ways to avoid traffic accidents, of course, like using crosswalks, which make cars come to a complete stop, or by relying on speed. See, in this level, the jump button has been replaced with a sprint button, which depletes this stamina meter over time. You can replenish both your health and stamina by going to one of these revolving doors. They'll slowly refill both meters, and then the moment you leave the door, a guard will come out of the building and start chasing you, so you can't linger. You'll want to use the doors as much as possible because for some reason your health slowly drains while you play, which is really annoying. It only happens in this one level too, and no reason is given as to why this happens. I guess breathing in the New York smog is just very harmful to Buddy's weak lungs. The next level is loosely based on the mailroom scene from the movie. Very, very loosely. First, you get to do this really basic pipe puzzle. You know, get the colored tubes into the right spots. You only have to do like 5 of them before it's over. And then there's a follow-up level where you're in the elevator delivering presents to people. It's a memory game. That is so unbelievably boring. And what's my reward for completing the easiest level in the game? More pipes, but this time slightly more difficult. And then more elevator, then more pipes, and it doesn't ever get any more fun. Also, why the hell am I pressing sequences of elevator buttons? That's not how elevators work. You don't use a goddamn cheat code to get somewhere in an elevator. This game's universe makes no sense. Speaking of making no sense, the next level. This level is a shooting game. Buddy is skilled in the art of slaughter. It's based on the Snowball fight scene. In the instructions, they told me not to get hit, but also not to hit Santa. And well, there's Santa. I don't know why he's here. He's not there in the movie. And also, where are the enemies? Nobody is attacking me. I can't lose either because I can't lose health because no one's attacking me, so all I can do is throw snowballs at Santa, which just makes this timer go up. So I sat there for 3 whole minutes until the timer ran out, and now there's enemies? This game is kind of broken. There's also only enemies on the left side of the screen, and I don't know if that was intentional or not. I truly cannot tell. And once again, I must ask, why? Why are these elves? In the movie, it's just random kids. Why are there elves in New York? And it's not even like they're reusing sprites to save resources. These elves are nowhere else in the game. So why are they not just children? This minigame can be pretty difficult. You just have to shoot the elves, but they often shoot you first, and when they do that, there's no way to dodge or anything. You're just forced to tank the hit. But the elves are just spread out enough that it takes too long to move your cursor over to the other side before you get hit. The only reason I was able to beat the level is because the enemy spawning broke again. This time, exclusively the rightmost elf wouldn't spawn. So I just aimed at the left and held down the button for 3 minutes. This game sucks. On to the next one. Now I'm in the suburbs, somehow. Santa is flying back and forth in the sky and dropping presents. And it's my job to deliver them to people's front doors. Good thing Santa thought ahead and color-coded the presents to match with the house and door colors. Yeah, this one's painfully easy. I don't think you can even fail it. The game doesn't even let you throw a present until you're in front of the right house. So whatever sliver of challenge this may have had is completely destroyed. And also, for some reason, there's silver presents occasionally, but there isn't a silver house. They go to the yellow house. What? It's platforming time again. This time you get to pick up sleigh parts while avoiding the park rangers. You have to stay in the treetops because that's where most of the parts are, and because the park rangers are relentless. They are impossible to outrun. It's fine. The level is fine. It functions. It is playable. That's about all I have to say about it. Next is the final level. Yeah, the game isn't very long. The way this one works is that you play as Santa's sleigh running from a park ranger that slowly gets closer to you. You can make the sleigh rise into the air, but it uses up stamina very quickly. You have to pick up 20 bells that are floating in the area, some of which are outside your field of vision, which sucks because you have to waste stamina to get up there, and then once you're up there you start falling. So you have to get lucky and manage to start rising right in time to pick up a bell. And if you miss it, then you have to try again next time because the level loops, which implies that Santa and this park ranger are just running around in a circle. But anyways, if you miss a bell, it's impossible to remember where it was because the whole level looks the goddamn same. It's all just copies of the same trees. So once again, you just have to hope you manage to fly into a bell. But you can't keep trying consistently because you have to wait for the stamina to refill, which takes longer than it logically should, And if you don't do all of this in time, then the park ranger catches you and you have to start the whole thing over again. I won the level out of pure luck, because at the last minute I happened to run into the 20th bell, and when I did... Yeah, that's it. Game's over. That's the whole thing. That's all there is. I beat this in like an hour. But that's not all that I have to talk about. There's a few other things to look over before I go. This game has mini-games. 3 of them, to be exact. First one is about making a snowman, and it's actually not terrible. It's a tile-based puzzle game. You gotta find a way to push each segment of the snowman in such a way that it'll get to the right size and safely reach the rest of the snowman. It's hard, but I actually enjoyed it. It was a decent challenge. Pretty alright minigame. Kinda shocking. Then there's Cobbler's Workshop, a minigame where you pick up shoes with a wheel, and then drop them into boxes. Oh, but make sure to match the shoes. God forbid they don't match. You don't want to know what happened to the last person that didn't match the shoes. The last game to talk about is Santa Says. And no, it's not Simon Says. It's even worse, somehow. It's another fucking memory game. And it's so fucking slow. Santa tells you what toys to put in his bag and in what order. And he tells you really, really slowly. Then, if you get it right... Yes, you have to wait that long in between each level. This fucking long. Just to do another slow as molasses memory game. And then that's really it. That is the whole game. That's all there is to this piece of media. What a fantastic experience. Game of the year for sure. No, but for real, this game is just boring. Like, it's not even abysmally terrible, it's just nothing. There is nothing to this game. This game exists, it has level design, it has characters, and even music. It had developers, they made it, the graphics are, it's truly the game of all time. I really don't have anything else to say about this. Like, I thought this would be a bit more interesting as a video topic, but no, there's nothing left to say, that's it. There's nothing to this. And that's the end of the video. This video was a mistake. Happy Merry Christmas. Goodbye.